When you walk up to the vehicle with the key, it has the proximity key system, and it'll sense the key at a certain point. When it does, it flashes the lights and extends the handles out here. There's also a little light right here, just a little subtle light right there. Maybe if it's super dark, it might shine on the ground, but it's just there to show you where the handle is, apparently. Hit the unlock button. It will flash the lights. Also, it turns on this little animation here. You can see the lights here in the front, the tail lights are on, and the interior lights are also on. They don't stay on forever, but they do turn on when you first unlock it. It does have an off position on the headlight switch, and you can turn all the exterior lights off. Some vehicles don't let you do that. There's always some exterior light on, but if you try to move the vehicle, it will turn on the daytime running lights. Now I have the parking lights on, and the parking lights are this accent light here on the outside. Serves as a daytime running light as well. It's pretty bright. It's not super bright, I'm not blinded by it, but it's nice and sharp and crisp and bright. It also has these little accent lights that have little animations that it'll play when you start the vehicle. The only way to really see it is to hit the unlock button and stand in front of the vehicle when the vehicle's locked, and it'll go through the animation. It's pretty cool. There's also an amber side marker here in the front. The tail lights wrap around to the side of the vehicle, serving as a side marker. And they are really nice. They're red in color. They kind of look a little bit blown out here, but it is a deep red when you see it in person. Really nice. Really unique styling here for the tail lights. And they're fairly bright too. They are pretty bright. Tag lights are also on, and they illuminate here on the ground, serving somewhat of an approach light a little bit. Turn signal here in the front just basically uses that same white light and turns it amber, and it's much brighter as well. So it is really bright right here in my face. So let me turn the brightness down on the camera so you can see, hopefully. It's a nice large, you can see it all the way around. I mean, you can see it from the front, the side. It's just a really big turn signal here on the front. There's also a turn signal indicator here on the side mirror. You see it from the front, the side, and the back. And then the turn signal here in the back is red. It's not amber, it's a red, and man, is it bright. Let me turn the brightness down here on the camera. Hopefully you can see it, because man, it has like this little accents right in here that when the camera's too bright, you can't really see the separation there. It just looks like a blob. But it is pretty cool. All right, so the reverse lights are right there, and they are really bright. Then you can see the brake light there as well. There at the top. The key has a little light on it, letting you know that it senses the vehicle, and it changes colors depending on what you press. So let's turn on the low beams here, because this vehicle has interesting headlights. I think in Europe it has a matrix system, because it has multiple projectors, lots of projectors here. And you can see they just go right down the line here. And all these add up and overlap on the road. And we'll see what it looks like going down the road. It looks pretty good. But yeah, you can see there's multiple little projectors. And those are separate from the accent lights, which are here. So the headlights are all in this area here. And the cutoff for the low beams, stand back a little ways here, and the cutoff is about 2.5 feet off the ground, 3 feet off the ground, something like that. And above that area, it's not blinding me at all. I can look directly at the headlights. There is a little shadow notch on the oncoming lane. We'll see that when we're going down the road as well. So now let's turn on the high beams. You see the high beams there. And it's basically additional lights. That inner portion is now more bright. And let's see if I can lower the brightness here. You can see now the inner portion is brighter, so now all of them together add up to be the low and high beams together. So it's a lot of little lights adding up, overlapping on the road. It's quite a bit different than the average, you know, high and low beam type system. The cargo light here is pretty interesting because it has this single light here, which is fairly bright, but it shines mostly right there. And it kind of casts a shadow behind the seat. When you have the seats up like this, casts a shadow there. And it does okay, mostly, for illuminating here, but there's no lights here on the side. There's no lights under the lift gate, anything like that. It just has that single light. The brightness is good, so that's the best thing about it, really. But it does have a lot of, you know, shadows all in here. This is like all dark, right directly behind the seat. But it's okay. It's an okay cargo light. The third row has these two lights here in the center, and it illuminates nicely here. The floorboard, the seats area. There's a little USB port that's illuminated over there as well. But yeah, there's one on this side as well. But yeah, these two lights right here, you can turn them on independently, but they do a good job there in the third row. The back door, it doesn't have any kind of puddle lights or anything like that, but it does have these pocket lights, and this is part of the ambient light system, which you can customize the color. So there's a light in here, and then there's light back in here. The power window switch is illuminated, and then you have these two buttons right here for the heated and cooled seat are also illuminated. It would be nice if it had a puddle light or an approach light or both, basically. But the second row seats are illuminated by these lights here. You can see one on the other side, one on each side of the second sunroof that's over here. And it does a pretty decent job. Once again, we have lights here in the center. The floorboard is fully illuminated. This center area here, I'm kind of getting in the way, but that's illuminated. And then we have these accent lights here. There's also illumination up here for the climate control. But yeah, this is pretty neat. So this slides out, and then there's a storage compartment here. You open this up, and light shines in there. Nice. The inside of the front doors, no puddle light, no approach light, nothing like that. There is the pocket lights, and all the window switches are illuminated. And there's a lot of switches there. And check out this accent light here on the floor. So these lights kind of serve as actual lights that you use, and also accent lights as well, ambient lights. And the lights here on the front are coming from the center. There's two of them. You can turn them on independently. I'll show you that when we get inside. But it does a decent job of illuminating here. Not quite as much as the rear seats, but we have all this extra light with the ambient light looking nice. And also the aim. So like I said, the driver doesn't need to be blinded. So having those aiming mostly in the laps and not necessarily everywhere is probably on purpose. So I'm sitting in the driver's seat. I got the interior lights on using the door. The door's open here, so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to shut the door, and then we'll be left with the backlit buttons here. You notice the steering wheel, the Kia, is illuminated. Looking pretty cool. And there's all the other buttons which are illuminated as well, backlit illuminated. Here to the left of the steering column, some more buttons. Now the screens are excellent. I had the brightness. Let's see, I got it kind of low. So let me cycle through the brightness here. because it adjusts more than just the screens. All right, it's all the way down. And then it comes up. And it goes from 0 to 100, so a lot of different levels there that you can adjust it. Bring it down quite a bit. Okay, so the shifter is eliminated in the start button. And there's the climate control buttons, which are between the two screens. So a little separate screen. You have little quick access buttons here. Connectivity down here with the USB ports. And you can make a selection here, change the color to discharge or connect it to the system. I really like the ambient lights here, which you can change the color. I'll show you that in a second. There's this cup holders here, which are not eliminated. Kind of surprised. These buttons are eliminated. This center console, let me turn on the interior lights here. Alright, so this is not illuminated, but with the interior lights on, you can see in there. So there's no pocket light there. There's no light there for those cup holders either. It's not a huge deal, but pointed out. Glove compartment does have a nice light in it. The rear view camera is excellent day or night, and it has backlit illuminated buttons here for the home link, and they have the adjustments for the camera. This has a regular mirror as well, which is auto dimming. Side mirrors are also auto dimming at nighttime. Up here, there is individual tap lights you can turn on for a reading light for the driver or the passenger, and it shines in the lap. And then you have an individual one button here for turn on all the interior lights, and I'm glad that it's backlit illuminated. Alright, so the visor has a mirror with a light that turns on when you open up the little slider. And if you accidentally leave it on and close it, it'll turn it off. In the settings, you go under Vehicle, then you go to Lights, and then you can go to Ambient Lighting, and you can adjust the brightness here. So that's these blue lights that you're seeing. You can turn them off if you want. There's 1, all the way there, 6, all the way to 10. So there's different brightness levels you can have, and then you have the color, which is a separate button here, and you can adjust different colors. So you have dual color options, high and low. So go here, we have blue and green. So you can see the blue is now on the top, green is at the bottom. Blue here, green at the bottom. Of course, there's different options here, yellow and green, red and orange. That's like purple and pink. And there's 2 different shades of blue. These right here, different shades of green. And then you can customize the color. So you can go into the color wheel, choose the ones that you want. Let's go over here to a pink and blue. That's a kind of a more reddish pink. So there we go. There's the custom color here that I got set up for the dual. So those 2 different colors there. But then you can have single colors as well. So like you just had the blue, which I had before, and then there's red, different colors, forest, urban sky, dreamy purple, that's nice, polar white, violet cloud. We can customize the color. Orange delight, golden insight, refreshing sea, urban sky. So yeah, there's the different ones there. So you can have single lights or double lights, which is pretty cool. I think that's pretty neat. And I like the way you can do the custom color as well. You also have the ability to adjust the lighting patterns. So right now I have it set to elegant. So you can see there's the pattern there when you start up the vehicle. Then it has solid, technical, active, and efficient. So it also focused at the bottom, which is pretty cool. So those are the different light patterns when you start the vehicle. Kind of neat, I guess. I mean, if you're going to have those accent lights, might as well put them to good use. having different options here. So there's the light pattern here on a fence, and you can see that the cutoff is a little bit jagged over here. That is intended to have a shadow that lines up on the oncoming lane on the left side of the road, basically. So there's the high beams, there's the low beams, and I'm going to turn on the automatic high beams because they seem to work well, so we'll go ahead and give them a try. The heads-up display works really good. The camera system works really good. The rear view camera also works really good. Pretty much, Hyundai's usually, or Hyundai and Kia, basically, almost always, they have a lot of features, but the features actually work. So it's very enjoyable to drive a vehicle that have features that work, you know, not just piling on features and then they're buggy or they're problematic and then you wind up not using them. Okay, so we're gonna force it to go to low beams right now because I want to show you on the road, on the oncoming lane, right here, you can see as we dip down this little bit of a hill, you can see there's a shadow on the oncoming lane. Hopefully you can see that right in there. There's a shadow, so and it's lined up perfectly. So when we're going up and down these little hills right here, that little bit of a shadow area helps out with not blinding other people. Also, if the road's wet, then it won't, you know, create a glare and reflect in people's faces. That's another kind of secondary thing. But yeah, it seems like the low beams, the cutoff is adjusted right on this vehicle. Some vehicles, they come in and the shadow's way in the middle of my lane and not the other lane, or it's just, you know, not done right from the factory. But that's what happens sometimes. But this one looks good. This one looks real good. So we'll stay in low beams until we can have this dark road down here. See what the high beams look like. So we still have low beams, and the low beams look really good. I mean, they do a good job of eliminating the sides of the road and everything. Okay, so let's go to high beams. Yeah, I can see those trees. Well, we're gonna go back. Low beams. All right, high beams. Yep, I can see the trees in the distance. There's not any significant patchiness to the lights, as there's so many different separate projector lights. They overlap enough. And there's a lot of light. I mean, it's pretty bright. I mean, I can see those trees in the far distance on these with these high beams. There's also not too much of a disconnect between the high and low beams. It's the separate lights that turn on. They tend to blend well and give me a lot of light there in the front. The distance is good. The illumination on the sides of the road is excellent. Yeah, I mean, so there's the low beams there. And there's the high beams. Yeah, all these trees are illuminated. Even the ones in the far distance, they're getting that projection of light is really, really good. I'm able to see well. And the trees are far off the road on this road, and that's intentional. So that way you get the, you know, because it's real easy to make headlights look good if there's a lot of things up close to the headlights. The challenge is when you have like a great distance for the lights to travel, and then you can see where basically the headlights kind of fade out. So having this road where you can have things off the road. So now we have these railings. You can see how when they're real close, you can see the lights very bright and shining on the railing and all that stuff. But that's not going to give you, pretty much any headlights will look good up close. It's the far distance that you want to really pay attention to. The height is pretty good on these too, and that helps out with hills. You're going up and down hills, the height of the headlight works well when it has a little bit extra height. So it has good height. Pretty much everything about these headlights is good. These aren't like super wow headlights, but they are just well done, especially for electric car. You know, I mean, you can't have overly extra electricity just having the headlights on. So you have to have efficiency with the headlights. And in this case, we have great headlights, and they're efficient for the vehicle. They're not going to, drain your battery as much as, inefficient headlights, basically. And so yeah, I think they're great.